Great, good afternoon. I'm Kim Hardy, Diversity and Community Engagement Manager for the new Terminal 1. Thank you very much for joining us today as we preview the concessions program for the new Terminal 1 at JFK. I'm thrilled to have a number of my colleagues join us. You will hear from the leadership of NTO. You will also hear from our great partners, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and of course, from URW, which is leading the concessions program for the new Terminal 1. We've got an agenda for you that we think will be very informational. We're going to run through the agenda. And then we will take questions if time permits at the end of the program. We would ask that you write all of your questions in the chat box and we will address them at the end of the presentation. So again, thank you so much. If we can go to the next slide and we'll share today's speakers, Dr. Gerard Bushell, who's the president and CEO of the new Terminal 1, Pelmina Wellen, who is the new Terminal 1, or as we say, NTO, Capital Program Director, Ashtar Patel, who is with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, serving as the JFK External Affairs Manager. Bradley Tolson, who is the lead at URW for us. He is its Senior Vice President for Development with extensive experience in aviation. And Ashley Harry, who is the Director of Leasing for Airports, also with URW. And then, of course, yours truly. So why don't we start our program? It's my great pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Gerard Bushell. As I said, the president and CEO of the new Terminal 1. Dr. Bushell is a noted business leader in New York City and beyond. And we're all thrilled to work under his leadership in ensuring that this project is built on time, and with the participation of our MWBE, local business, SDVOB, and ACDBE community. Dr. Bushell, over to you.
Thank you, Kimberly. It's a pleasure to be with all of my colleagues here. This is an exciting project, folks, and we want to highlight to you the importance of not just delivering on time, on budget, but making sure that we have impact. And so when we really think about the genesis of this project, which really goes back to approximately 2017, 2018, what we sought to do was create a foundation and a vision, one in which we would create this world-class international airport, unrivaled. I mean, we're talking about the front door to the US of A. And then we thought in terms of building out a public-private partnership with our public partner, the Port Authority. And we brought together a consortium of investors who are putting to work $2.7 billion of their own private capital, right, for a $9.5 billion project. The consortium consists of Ferrovial, the Carlyle Group, JLC Infrastructure Partners, which is our MWBE partner. That's Jim Reynolds and Magic Johnson. And the building trades, ULICO, Union Life and Insurance Corporation. In that evaluation, we also recognized that we wanted to have this incredible sense of place, art and branding, world-class experience, and unrivaled food and beverage, as well as retail. And through that, we thought we would do it ourselves. We had all kinds of ideas, but at the end of the day, it came down to selecting the best of the best. All right. And you're going to hear from our partners at URW today who have a global footprint. I'm sure many of you have shopped at many of the retail outlets that they have across our continent, North America, and across the globe. We selected them as our master concessionaire, all right, because we wanted to drive an impact. We wanted a sense of place, and we wanted the best of the best, but also recognizing the breadth of experiences that shoppers, all right, as well as passengers wanted to experience in a terminal. Now, saying that, the success of an infrastructure project cannot be limited to only schedule and budget. It has to have impact. And when we talk about impact, we're talking about the notion of creating jobs. So let's start with the number of total jobs that this project is going to impact. 10,000 total jobs, 6,000 are construction. We also have a priority where we are focused on 37 zip codes around JFK in Southeast Queens and Western Nassau. That is something that we had negotiated with the building trades. We have an incredible project labor agreement with the building trades that enables us to do $400 million of MWBE participation in this project labor agreement. It also focuses on tiers in terms of where we want to drive impact in Southeast Queens, Western Nassau. That's tier 1. Tier 2 would be Queens. Tier 3 would be New York City. Tier 4 would be the greater port region, which is New York City and New Jersey. And then tier 5 would be everything else. So that's very important. Other aspects that are of considerable importance are the initiatives. The JFK Academy. How do we bring folks into our terminal, but also bring folks into the overall orbit of what we have and enhance their skills, make them workforce ready? The JFK Airport Academy is very important. Sustainability is important. Green energy. Our LEED certification is targeting LEED silver. We have the ability to be gold. We have an Envision certification. The other aspect that is very important is independence on the grid, a strategic partnership with Alpha Structure. And then finally, I would just highlight, if I can see, our diversity commitments. We want to lead in diversity, and we will continue to lead in diversity. To date, we are trending north of 30%, and our targets, again, are for M's at 20%, W's 10%, and then local participation, which is 10%. We're exceeding that to the degree of 18%. So again, we're very focused on a great brand, a great experience, great airlines, great food, and really driving this incredible diverse set of goals so that we have impact, creating jobs and creating capital opportunities for local firms and M's and W's. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Buchel. We appreciate that message regarding how the new Terminal 1 will impact the local region in such a positive manner. Happy to introduce our great partner from the Port Authority, AK Patel. AK is leading a lot of the community engagement and is going to really share some of the resources that the Port Authority offers to the business community. So AK, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Mrs. Hardy. Thank you, everybody, for joining today's call regarding the concessions program at New Terminal 1. Just before I dive into the Advisory Council, Dr. Buchel said a lot of great points. You know, there's a lot, the total redevelopment of JFK Airport is $19 billion, and there's a lot of private investment here. and is showing the economic viability of the airport. So this is a great opportunity for people that want to be part of the redevelopment to get involved. So please take advantage of whatever resources that the Outreach Center and New Terminal 1 is providing, like the Academy, to make sure you have the knowledge and skill set to be able to bid on these opportunities. And a lot of that is thanks to our leadership that is brought on by Congressmember Gregory Meeks and our Queensborough President Donovan Richards, who are the lead co-chairs of the JFK Redevelopment Community Advisory Council. It's comprised of elected officials, community leaders, faith organizations, and they come from the 37 zip codes Dr. Michelle mentioned, right? So besides the redeveloping the airport, knowing the economic viabilities, we want to make sure that there's positive benefits by going to the surrounding community. And so in order to be qualified to do work on this project, there's different types of certifications, and we encourage everybody to get certified with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. I want to be very clear, this is a different certification process than the state of New York or the city of New York. Just like the MTA has its own certification process, a lot of people are not aware of that you need to be separately certified with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. So some people might have checked an addendum box when they're doing the application with the state, and if you did that, it would have fast-tracked you. But if you're not sure if you did that, or unclear about where your certification stance is, reach out to the office and we can verify that. But listed here are just a couple of the different certifications. So I want to highlight one certification that's very important to this particular concession program is the ACDBE certification. Is for Airport Concession Disadvantaged Business Enterprise certification. That doesn't mean you just have to be a vendor selling products in the airport. It could be anything related to the concessions program, providing services, maintenance, operations, or just providing the products to the concession operation vendor. So please get certified in that particular category, because as you notice, there is set aside for different types of certifications. Besides the certification, and I know Dr. Michelle already hit on this, the Port Authority has a mandate not just to hit the 30% mark, but to exceed it. So we have a 30% minority women business enterprise requirements of all of the total amount of the contract of the redevelopment. So if you think about it, for the totality of the $19 billion project, 30% of that has to go to minority and MWBEs, and then another 10% of that is focused to those 37 zip codes of local businesses. So we're not trying, we take the minority participation very seriously, and Ms. Hardy can attest to that. The Port Authority is very on top of this. We have annual oversight and transparency reporting, and we make sure that every opportunity is given to local communities, to local businesses, and to those particular 37 zip codes. So, and besides that, we do have additional events. We do have monthly webinar certification, how to get certified for MWBE, ACDBEs. But I just want to quickly jump in. I know the slide has the information, but besides these certification info sessions, we do have initiatives that the NTO is part of from the advisory council, like the Institution of Concession, which is a boot camp where it's a very intense 14 class program where you're going through what kind of insurance you need, how to write an RFP, what is necessary for a bid package, and all those things. We will have another cohort coming up in next year. So please be on the lookout for those information at our website, or you can stop by at our office. We're located on Jamaica Avenue. Next slide. Jamaica Avenue, 144-33, Jamaica Avenue. And we're open Tuesdays to Thursdays. Feel free to reach out, set up an appointment, or stop by anytime. The email address and the phone number are on the screen. Thank you, Mrs. Hardy, for having us. Thank you, Dr. Michelle, as well. And thank you to the NTO team. Just a shout out to Frank, as always. Thank you, everybody.
Great. Thank you very much, AK. We appreciate the great partnership and all of the transformative work that your team is doing at the JFKR Community Information Center. Next, we can go to the next slide, please. Very pleased to introduce you to our program director, Palmina Wellen. who has extensive experience in the aviation industry, and is overseeing the construction of this project, as she has done for several other projects across the country. Palmina, I'll turn it over to you to give us an overview of the project.
Great, thank you, Kim. Let me just start by apologizing. You may have some background noise. I'm sorry, but we are in the thick of construction. So to me, that's music. To others, it can be a little bit frustrating. So my apologies. Welcome and thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. We're really, really excited about the JFK New Terminal 1, just as Dr. Michelle had alluded to and spoke about, and as well as the Port Authority. I mean, it's going to be such a great program, and we're excited for the development of it and to all be, and we're excited for everyone to have a partake in it. What I want to just talk to you very quickly is to try to put it in perspective, what the size of the building is going to be and what those opportunities are. So if you look at the screen, you'll see one that says 9 wide body gates versus one that says 22 wide body gates. And essentially what we're saying is we are taking the existing Terminal 1 and we're gonna redo it. And the new Terminal 1 is going to be built on an existing Terminal 1 site, along with the Terminal 2 and the former Terminal 3. So we'll have gone from 9 wide body gates to 22 body gates, increasing from 0.7 million square feet to, I want to say, just over 2 million square feet on 144 acres. And what does that mean for the concession space? That means that we have over 200,000 square feet of dining, retail lounges, recreational spaces, etc., that will have opportunities within this program. The construction is commencing now. It's set to be completed in June 1st of 2026. And our intent for reaching out to the market today is just to speak to you through the audience, which URW will address, into what to expect. What does it mean for a program of this magnitude? What does it mean for the concession opportunities? And how do you prepare yourselves for what's forthcoming? And we're really excited about new design. As this Dr. Michelle had mentioned, we're taking a lot of focus on the interior finishes. We're focusing on art and branding, ensuring that advertisement, furniture, that they all kind of work coherently with each other, and that it creates a real good sense of place, and it gives you a dynamic passenger experience while you're walking through it. We will expect the same from our concessionaires, is to be able to mirror the world class that we're performing. And with that, I'd just like to talk about the world-class team here. As you see, the financial sponsors are what was mentioned earlier. The capital project delivery is being produced by, it's being brought in by Ferrovial, Lear Cunning, McKissick, and SNC. That's our capital program delivery team. The design builder is Acon Tishman, with the architect director, who is Gensler, and the commercial developer and manager is URW. Thank you. Now, Kim, do I turn this back to you?
Well, I'm going to turn it. Thank you so much, Palmina, for that
Thank you,
overview.
everyone.
And I think that's a perfect segue into our colleagues over at URW. So Brad, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Palmina. Great job. No construction noise on this end, so they're all good. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Look, this is going to be the first of really many information and outreach sessions that we're going to host here. So looking forward to engaging with you all, both in virtual format as well as in person going forward. Look, I just want to, look, our role, I just want to touch on that. Look, we're the developer, the commercial developer, really helping the NTO team to set the vision, the mission, the strategy for the concessions program. And then we're responsible for really the leasing, design, tenant coordination, or the project management of the concessions for this program. So a little bit about Unibail Rodamco Westfield. It's a bit of a mouthful, so URW for short. But look, it was basically a merger of Westfield, which had assets in the US and in the UK, with Unibail Rodamco, which has assets in about a dozen countries in Europe. Look, we have a broad global reach with annual visits approaching almost 1 billion people annually. So, you know, it's a big number, but what it does is we have the finger on the pulse of what customers want, where brands are going, where customers are going, and as you know, this ever-changing world. So look, our core mission really is to reinvent being together. And look, we're a big company, but I guess what I'm most proud of is how we act locally and how we have a real deep commitment to developing and operating our assets in a really sustainable and socially responsible way. And really, airports is no different. If you can go to the next slide, Rosalie, thank you. So look, we've been in business, airports for 25 years. We were really the pioneer of the developer model, and we continue to be a leader in this space with an approach that really drives sales and revenue to industry-leading marks. We focus on our core. We really focus on kind of the best airports and really transportation hubs. And you can see our lineup here. We have 5 terminals at LAX. We have the international terminal at O'Hare, Terminal 5. We've got 2 terminals at JFK, obviously new Terminal 1, as well as Terminal 8 with American Airlines. And then locally, we do have Westfield World Trade Center, the Oculus, all the shops and restaurants in that asset. And connected to that is Fulton Center. So we've got a pretty broad reach. So look, as Dr. Michelle mentioned, look, this airport has the aspiration to be not only the best airport in the US, but the best airport in the world, and really shooting for that top 5 mark. And the question that we ask ourselves each and every day is, how do we get there, right? And there's some core themes that kind of come from that. And really, it starts with the customer, having a really customer-centric focus and mindset, so that we can really enhance that customer experience, so that this is an experience like that no one's ever had at an airport anywhere in the world. And then revolutionize, just hang tight for just a second. We want to revolutionize the travel retail. So, what we've done in the past isn't necessarily what we're going to do in the future. So we're looking for innovative brands, innovative partners to really help us deliver that. And then look, we want to set the new industry standard, right? In terms of experience, in terms of design, in terms of sales and revenue, in terms of like culinary expressions and whatnot. So look, I think for me, this is a big 2.7 million square foot terminal. The architecture is amazing, but really, I think where the sense of place comes in, and where that experience happens, is really with the concessions. That really brings the personality of the terminal and the flavors of New York into it. And so we're incredibly excited to work with you all to help us kind of co-create that future. If you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So who are the customers, right? We always talk about converting passengers, right? Converting passengers into customers. And so we need to start first with who those passengers are. This is a very unique terminal, not terribly unique, but unique in terms of it's 100% international terminal, so no domestic carriers. So that profile, that customer, is really, really strong in terms of their net worth, in terms of their propensity to spend. And so it really, translates into a great opportunity to have really high sales and revenues here at New Terminal 1. It's mostly origin and destination traffic. And for those that don't know, those are people that are starting and ending their destination at JFK. Not a lot of transfer traffic, which we know is a little, the spend for that type of profile is a little bit lower. You can see here the split of the destinations. This is a 2019 number, but largely is a proxy for how this will look in the future. And then on the side, you see some of the key airlines that are already signed up, but this list is going to continue to grow as we get closer to the grand opening in 2026. Next slide, please. So look, we took a step back and we wanted to set a vision, that really can be that kind of North Star, that guiding light to the decisions we make day in and day out. And look, this isn't a customer experience vision that is like, part of the overall program. This is the ORW sort of working document to really kind of set that vision. So if you'll indulge me for a moment, I'm going to go ahead and read this. To satisfy the masses, we must fulfill the needs of the individual. To be inclusive, we must offer exclusivity. To reflect New York City, we must have global appeal. To have staying power, we must never stand still. To inspire repeat visits, we must deliver a once-in-a-lifetime experience every single time. Next slide, please. So quick overview of the opportunity in terms of the commercial program. In phase A, we have just over 120,000 square feet of leasable concession space, and that will grow with phase B, and that doesn't include storage and other kind of metrics that you might hear. But look, we have a very, we've been working on for a number of years now, a very well thought out master plan that really, curates that experience and that journey for the customer. So we're going to have very distinct districts, and the design that is going to come to life is really locally inspired. Look, we understand the sense of place is so important in terms of these airport assets, and so we're working really hard with design folks and then with you all to really capture that spirit of New York, and with a key focus on Queens, and that goes from everything from the design, but also to the wares and bringing in local art and products that really speak to that sense of place. T1, we do have this is supposed to be the world's fair food, right? A true culinary destination, as it says. We have a requirement to bring in 50% local food, right? Which is going to be easy because the local food and flavors and tastes of New York are some of the best. And so we are looking for you all to really capture what those are and what is going to resonate with this international customer and bring that to life. And then additionally, look, we're all expecting, we all have our phones, we are fully expecting, food pre-order and other digitally enabled aspects to really provide a seamless experience and really kind of drive that friction out of the customer journey. And then look, we're always evolving. So we're going to have concepts and things that are going to live on in terms of a longer duration, 5, 7, 10 years. But how do we, bring that flexibility to bring that ever evolving experience to our customers to really, make it special. So no matter how many times you fly through the new Terminal 1 in a year, that you kind of have something different each time. And then look, we've got some space and category splits. So these are pretty traditional in many sense, but that's you can apply those numbers across that 120,000 square foot to understand sort of the scope and breadth of each of those food retail categories. Next slide, please. So look, this has been covered, but I'll just want to reinforce that URW, as part of our requirement, are going to be providing 30% ACDVE as a minimum there, as well as a lot of these other objectives. But I also want to underscore that the investment that URW is making pales in comparison to the total investment that all the concessions are going to be spending. So there's going to be upwards of $200 million of investment on the concessions in this terminal, and all those we're going to need to also hit these requirements in terms of MWBE participation at 30%, 10% local business enterprise, as well as the 3% SDVOB number. Next slide, please. And with that, I'll go ahead and introduce Ashley Harry, who is our Director of Leasing for URW Airports.
Thank you, Brad. Hi, everybody. Great to be here. As you've heard, this is a really exciting project, right? And you will be hearing from us a lot over the coming months as we start to get deeper into this project. I thought a good place for us to kind of kick off and start was just overview of Airport Concessions 101, right? And so understanding the fundamentals, I think, will help everybody understand A, where they fit in, and B, where they should be investing their efforts. So when you're generally traveling through airports, there's about 5 categories historically that you will see. So duty free being the largest typically. These are specialty goods, service, liquor, beauty, confection, things like that, that appeal to an international audience, in which Brad mentioned is majority 100% in this terminal. So that will be a big part of our future program. You have the travel essentials. Those are kind of your everyday needs to make travel a little bit more convenient while you're going through. Think of bottles of water, magazines, snacks, things like that. You have food and beverage, which is categories within categories, from full service restaurants to quick service to grab and go. Lots of different opportunities for you to leave your mark and kind of meet the passengers where they need, right? Some have some additional time to dwell, is what we call it, to time between when they get to the airport and when their wheels up. That want to take advantage of, a full service dining experience. And other people, as I'm sure you've all seen in New York airports especially, are hustling to get to their gate to make it on time and just need last minute kind of grab and go things to take with them on their flight. The next piece is retail. So this comes in, again, a couple categories. You have tech, you have specialty, you have accessories, you have soft goods, the list kind of goes on and on there. And the last one we generally see is service. So think about, express spa, gaming, currency exchange, things like that, that are providing a service to the customers, is things that would kind of fall into that bucket. Next slide. Okay, and so something different too that we wanted to call out in terms of business models in airports is it is a little bit different than what you will see typically on the street. And so the good thing about that is there's a couple different ways for people to get involved in the airport space. So I'll start on the left with operator. An operator is generally a larger company who operates multiple spaces within the airport, food and beverage, retail, duty free, you name it. They don't necessarily operate any brand. It could be national, it could be proprietary, which means that it's kind of their own brand that they've made up, introduced, created a menu for, etc. You have a JV partnership, which are kind of individuals or entities who come together to form a business, an association for this specific purpose of operating this specific airport space. And so we will definitely be talking more about this and doing a deep dive into this subject later on down the road. It is there's a lot we can discuss that I won't go into today. The next thing you'll see is brands. So you may see street brands or what you believe to be street brands in the airport, but they may or may not be operated by the brand. They could be a brand that has been licensed or franchised to an airport operator, or they could be operated directly, which is the fourth model here. So, InMotion could be operated directly by InMotion, or they could be operated by a partner that has been kind of predetermined for this purpose. And then the last one, which is a newer model, I would say, is product. And so product really is happens a lot between primes and operators and the maker, that we kind of match make those scenarios to have shelf space to exhibit products within somebody else's footprint of their store. So that is one of the lowest entry points in the airport, is if you have a tangible physical product that can sit on a shelf. There will be opportunity in the future to kind of get your foot in the door that way and kind of expand from there. Next slide. And so kind of in this spirit of what's different between the street and the land side is the kind of concessions 101 about operating, right? And so you'll see things in airports that are a little bit different than street side. So hours of operation are generally one. There are required minimums for operating the airport, and that it could range, right? Every program is a little bit different. It could be, 90 minutes before the first flight that goes out for the day and 30 minutes after the last one departs. There's what we call IRAP, which is, Brad, help me out here.
The irregular operations?
Irregular operations, yes. When there's a snowstorm or weather event or such that we may require people to be open above and beyond their normal scope. There is a badging and security layer in the airport that frankly does not happen on the street side. So all employees must be badged to work in the airport. And so there's a whole process that we can discuss more down the road on along with that. Again, I'm not going to go through every single one, but parking, construction costs, labor costs, there's some guidelines and parameters that we'll continue to share with everybody as we continue to make our way through this project. Next slide. I'll turn this back to you, Brad.
Yeah, I'll take this one. So I kind of touched on this earlier, but look, there's a significant amount of investment that is going to be taking place from the concessionaires. And so from an architecture, engineering, and construction perspective, there is going to be a tremendous amount of opportunity from professional services on sort of the architecture and engineering side to the construction trades, right? So obviously we have casting a very wide net in terms of this information session today. But look, you know, there are many different ways to participate, both from a prime and a strategic partnership perspective, subcontracting to GCs, et cetera. So no matter what your skill or your company, if you have interest, we encourage you to really lean in and engage with us on this particular front. Ashley?
Thanks. So the next layer of opportunities is the professional services scope. And so the concessions program will all need varying layers of professional services. So you can see some of the types of opportunities that are listed here, from janitorial maintenance to photography to legal. So we just wanted to put these out on your radar, to Brad's point, to start thinking about if this is kind of a category that you may fall into as a business owner. Next slide. And then the last one, concessions and products. So again, this is anybody with a retail, food and beverage, specialty product brand. You know, there's different types of opportunity there will be throughout the program: physical space, turnkey space, automated retail, digital opportunities, product opportunities, and more. Actually, if you look at this photo on the right, April's a really good case study for us as far as the relationship that we've built with her, and the growth she's had as an individual. So April was a former manager for one of the concessionaires at LAX, and you know, she did her homework. She kind of learned the ins and outs of the airport. She looked at brands. She made the right partnerships. She popped into one of our incubator spaces at LAX with Bear Bradley, which is what you see here. She had a successful short-term kind of pop-up experience, and so now she's looking to grow into her own long-term full inline space. And so when we're talking about pipeline and kind of generational planning, these are the type of opportunities that we're talking about, and we have quite a bit of experience in this to helping businesses kind of get where they want to go in terms of the future. Next slide.
Okay.
Back to you.
So look, we've got a pretty broad audience today. So we're kind of kicking off in a very kind of casting a wide net to make sure that everyone understands the entirety of the scope of the opportunity. But I do want to underscore that we are going to be, URW, going to be leading kind of the more formal kind of leasing process starting in 2024. And each of those will have, you know, different outreach and information sessions, both virtual and in person, to really target very specific parts of the business. So if you're a small local business and some of this may be, you know, oh my gosh, this is kind of all crazy, there's a lot happening here, we're going to have a session where we can really sit down and boil it down for you and really have a discussion on sort of the, you know, about your specific opportunity, but also, you know, all the great things that can come from airports, but also there are a lot of challenges, right? And so that you go into these things with eyes wide open. And then, you know, likewise, if you're an established ACDB operator, you know, some of this might seem a little bit almost elementary, right? But we're going to have some sessions to sit down with you to work through, you know, specific opportunities and finding, you know, what's a good fit for your business. Look, we've starting with sort of the end in mind. 2026, June 1st is the grand opening that all 70 plus of the concessions for Phase A are going to need to open on time with the building. And so there's a lot of work going into all that to line that all up. But that really starts with our formal leasing process in 2024. And then, you know, as tenants come on board, they're going to be looking to hire architects and engineers and then further designs. And once design is going through, they're going into permitting, they're going to be looking to hire GCs, and the GCs are going to be hiring subcontractors. So we're going to curate our outreach sessions going forward to really kind of line up with those opportunities as they come to fruition. So I think the number one thing is really, you know, staying in touch and making sure that you're signing up and we know who you are. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Kim to tell you how to do that.
Hey, great. Thank you so much, Brad and Ashley. Fantastic overview. As Brad has indicated, we anticipate having several more targeted sessions as we get into the new year to give you really more details about the rollout of the concessions program. But I hope you all found that very informational. Ashley, the Aviation Concessions 101, I learned a lot too, so thank you for that.
Great.
We want to encourage everybody to stay in touch with us. You'll see the QR codes on the slide. Feel free to scan them, but we will tell you that we will circulate this deck. It'll be posted on the JFK redevelopment website at a new JFK. There are several ways to stay in touch with NTO. We offer the opportunity to meet with us virtually or in person. And if you go to the website at the link on the slide, you can arrange a one-on-one meeting with us, and you can, you know, share what your business objectives are, and we will get you in touch with the right people on our team, or you of course can email all inquiries to info@1JFK. Now, URW, Brad, I don't know, maybe I should let you really discuss this URW Supplier Diversity Network, because that really sounds like a great opportunity. And that's even has a broader reach, a national reach, as I recall you sharing with us. I'm going to just turn that one back over to you.
Yeah, Ashley, do you want to take this one, or?
Oh, Ashley.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, so the URW Supplier Diversity Network is exactly that. We invite different suppliers throughout all of the different industries we've touched, whether it's professional services, architecture, engineering, concessions, to scan this QR code on the right. That's where you'll be notified of any URW opportunities, whether they're in this immediate market or others. You heard Brad kind of go through all of our airport locations earlier. So if you're interested in just kind of being a part of that and learning what expansion might look like for you there from a pipeline perspective, we'd be happy to bring you in and kind of continue to share information as the weeks and the months and the years go on.
That's awesome, Ashley. Thank you for sharing that. And we want to encourage you to join URW Supplier Diversity Network. We're looking into the chat. I think there were a couple of questions. Justin or Frank, can anyone just share? I've been paying attention, so.
There's one, will you be using Bidboard Pro or some other platform to detail specific subcontracting offers? That's from Michael Prasad.
Brad, do you want to try that one, or do you want me to take that?
It was a little hard to hear. Sorry, Kim. If that was Justin sharing that.
It could either go on mute, unmute, or
Just say the question.
So there's a question from Michael Prasad. Will you be using Bidboard Pro or some other platform to detail specific subcontracting offers and opportunities?
Yeah, so again, to great question. URW, as is in this particular role, is more a manager and facilitator. So we're not going to be contracting directly with any subcontractors. That being said, we are working with a number of general contractors, and we're looking to grow that list of contractors we're working with to kind of basically work together on a platform so that subcontractors that we're working together, right? So what that form will be, I don't know yet, but I think it's an excellent question, and we need to give that some good thought and come back to you when we have sort of a subcontracting session in the new year.
Great, Brad. Thank you for that. So more to come on that in terms of which system we'll use for subcontracting. There's a question about Ginsler as the architect of record. Will that be Ginsler, New York? It's the Ginsler organization. Happy to speak with you offline if you contact info@1JFK if you have specific questions. We also want to just take time again to thank those of you that have given an elevator pitch of sorts in the chat. You know, that will be shared with the team here. And we're glad to see such diverse participation across industries. I particularly like the Lego guy. So thank you for sharing that. Justin, any other questions? We're scrolling through.
One is
Sam,
from Elizabeth.
while you do that, if I can add a thought. So I will say, I think we've made it clear, but this is very much a marathon and not a sprint, right? This is a long-term 2026 opening. We will be kicking off more of our leasing efforts in the beginning of new year. So I would say, back to AK's point about what you can be doing now as far as next steps go, is researching the certification processes, understanding what you may or may not qualify for, chasing those down, meeting with the development team at the office that he described, just to understand, you know, how do I market myself to companies like ours rather than the B2B, the B2C, which is generally the business to consumer. Many people are used to selling to consumers. How do you market yourself to other businesses and companies, right? What are your strong suits? How do you set yourself apart? How do we understand the passengers a little bit more? I would say that is a critical piece of the puzzle that can be happening now to put yourself in a really good position come the new year.
Hey, Ashley, thank you so much for that guidance. I think that was very helpful. I see a question about kiosks, and I can't recall if Brad, if you or Ashley mentioned kiosks, but I know there is some thought given to kiosks.
Kiosks, yeah. So from a planning perspective, we're still looking for opportunities. And so I think it's more about what a kiosk is, right? A kiosk is really sort of a small format store that can be provided by sort of the developer or the landlord for a small local business to come in, right? And so it may be in the form of a kiosk, it may be in the form of what we call a retail merchandising unit, which is even smaller format. But we're also looking to, those are more traditional means, we're looking for what's next and how do we kind of take that and bring it into a different form. So we talked about April earlier. The format she came into was a turnkey small format unit. So what we mean by that is that URW invests in building out everything you need into that store, the flooring, ceiling, the lighting, the shelving, and that all you really need to bring is your merchandise, your people, your POS, and a sign, right? So very low barrier to entry to try your concept and see how it resonates with the international customer with a very kind of low risk factor, because if it does, then that's great. Then you look to sort of parlay that into a future opportunity. And again, this is a 2-phase project. phase A opening in 2026, and then phase B a couple of years after that. So we're going to have those types of opportunities for sure. But it's a great question, and we're still looking at some of those smaller format units.
There is a question from Kim R. And I'm going to read it. It's in front of my screen. When can we expect to see bids, RFPs to open up? I think Brad addressed the timing very generally in his earlier remarks, but she also adds there is a rumor going around at the current Terminal 1 where there are a handful of firms that have been guaranteed concession spots. Don't think that's the case, and don't have to go through a bidding process for the new Terminal 1. Is this true, please? Brad, could you address that?
Yeah, well, I haven't heard that one yet, but I can tell you emphatically, nobody has been awarded any space. We have a process that will be kicking off next year. Look, there are a lot of units, right? And so we're going to be breaking it down into kind of 3 major tranches of space based on a number of factors, from lead time of what it takes to build these units to other factors. So they're largely going to be grouped into kind of duty free and some food on arrivals, because there's some plumbing lead times. It's a technical note you don't need to know, but then we'll get into the food and beverage, and then the third kind of tranche will be mostly focused on retail. And so nobody has been awarded anything. I can promise you, guarantee you that.
Great, thank you very much, Brad. I was going to answer that, but I think it's better coming from you. Listen, we have a number of other questions. Some of them are very specific to your certain circumstances. We want to encourage you to just send us a note at info@onejfk.com. And we're happy to talk about terrazzo flooring supply, happy to talk about whether there'll be automated retail opportunities and vending. Again, this was really just a preview of the overall concessions program. We'll really be announcing our exact plans next year, and there'll be a lot more opportunities to discuss. But in the meantime, we encourage you to contact us at info@onejfk, and we will be pleased to answer any additional questions that you might have. I see we have a question about mentoring. Again, more to come on that. We would encourage you to look into a fantastic program the Port Authority has launched this year, the Institute of Concessions. It is a competitive process, and by that I mean one has to apply, but there is information on a new JFK.com about that program, and there certainly may be additional mentoring opportunities as we move forward. So I think we're at 2 o'clock, a little over. We want to thank you for your attention. I want to again thank my colleagues at URW and here at the NTL, and of course the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. And thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate your attention. It looks like there are almost 180 people still on. There were over 200 people on earlier. So more to come, but we're glad to just give you some sense of where we're going on this program. This is an exciting project, and stay tuned to hear more about the new Terminal 1. Thank you so much. Have a great day.